She was only trying to help. A lone black mother, her smile worn, her heart unstoppable. On a rainy afternoon, she offered a kind word to a stranger that nobody else bothered with. Hours later, that selfsame act of compassion cost her everything. Her job, her dignity, and her hope. They said she crossed the line, but nobody asked why she did it. What she did not know was that the man whom she had helped was not just any stranger, and when the truth came out, the world knew about the one who needed saving. Well, what happened that day? And why was her kindness her biggest mistake? Every morning felt like the same routine for Maya, a single black mother juggling 2 jobs and a promise to give her son a better life. She worked at a small-town cafe, the kind of place where smiles were expected, but respect was optional. Regular customers sipped their coffee and laughed. Yet when Maya passed by, their eyes often turned cold, voices softer, judgment dripping in silence. Still, she showed up every day early, tired but determined. Her kindness was her armor. That day was no different, either. The sky was gray, the tips jar almost empty, and the voice of the manager sharper than ever. But as Maya wiped down the counter, she noticed a stranger outside soaked, shivering, and ignored by everyone. Something in her heart told her not to look away. She didn't know it yet, but that small moment of compassion would set off a chain of events that would test everything she believed in and expose the kind of injustice that hides behind polite smiles. Maya stepped outside, holding a warm cup of coffee wrapped in napkins. The rain had turned cold, drumming on the pavement as the stranger sat huddled beneath the cafe's awning, his clothes worn, his hands trembling. Without thinking twice, she offered him the cup and a soft smile, something no one else had that morning. He thanked her quietly, but before Maya could say another word, her manager's voice cut through the rain like a blade. "What are you doing?" he barked, standing at the doorway. The customers turned to watch. Maya froze, heart pounding. She tried to explain. He was freezing. He needed help, but her words fell flat against his glare. "We don't serve people like that," he snapped, his tone sharp and public. The stranger lowered his head, shame clouding his face. Maya felt the sting of humiliation, not for herself, but for him. The next morning, it got worse. The manager called her into the back office, his tone coated in fake sympathy. "We're letting you go," he said. "You made the customers uncomfortable. That's bad for business." Maya's stomach dropped. After years of loyal work, after every late night and missed meal, she was being discarded over an act of kindness. She wanted to fight back, to scream that it wasn't fair, but she knew how that would look. A single black mother arguing with her white boss? The outcome was written before the words ever left her mouth. Word spread like wildfire. Some colleagues avoided her, while others whispered about how she should have known better. It wasn't just a job she lost, it was her dignity. Every day, she replayed that moment over in her mind. Should she have kept quiet? Made like she didn't see him? But how could she? How can a person with a conscience look away? Days later, a sleek black car pulled up outside her small apartment building. Maya thought it was a mistake until the same man from that rainy morning stepped out clean-shaven, sharply dressed, with a quiet authority that didn't fit the man she remembered. For a moment, she didn't even recognize him. But then he smiled that gentle smile from before. "Maya," he said softly, "we need to talk." Her heart was racing. Was this some kind of cruel joke? Why was he here? The neighborhood kids stared as the expensive car idled behind him. She hesitated, unsure whether to trust the man who'd been a stranger one week and was now standing before her like something out of another world. And then, just as he opened his mouth to speak, she realized there was something in his eyes, telling her this meeting wasn't about charity. It was about truth, power, and a secret that would change everything she thought she knew about that rainy day. Maya stood stock still in her doorway as the man from that rainy day stepped inside. His presence filled the small space, calm yet commanding. When he spoke, his voice carried both warmth and gravity. "Maya," he said, "the day you helped me, you didn't know who I was. But I knew exactly who you were." Confusion rippled through her until he handed her a folder. Inside were documents with the cafe's name, the manager's signature, and at the bottom a logo she'd seen before. He wasn't a stranger at all. He was the new owner. Her breath caught. "You're my boss?" she whispered. He nodded slowly. "I wanted to see how people treated those they thought didn't matter," he said. And I saw everything. Anger and relief knotted together in her chest. All those years of quiet humiliation, the disrespect she had swallowed, the nights she cried behind closed doors, it all came rushing back. But before she could say anything, he went on. "You lost your job for doing what was right. That says more about them than it ever will about you." The next morning, he called a meeting at the cafe. The same customers sat sipping their coffee. The same manager stood behind the counter, smug and unbothered, until the man walked in beside Maya. The room fell silent. He faced the staff, his tone sharp and unwavering. "Yesterday, you fired someone for showing kindness. Today, that ends." He turned to the manager. "You're done here." Gasps filled the room. The man's mask of superiority cracked, his face draining of color as security escorted him out. Maya stood in stunned silence, the tears blurring her vision. For the first time, the whispers weren't about her, but for her. But as the billionaire placed a comforting hand on her shoulder, Maya realized this moment was bigger than just a job. It was about dignity, about justice, about being seen. And just when she thought the storm was over, he looked at her and spoke words that stopped her world again. "Maya, I have one more offer for you, something that could change everything." A week later, Maya stood outside the cafe, the morning sun slicing through streets that once felt heavy with shame. But now, they felt different, lighter, almost forgiving. The billionaire's offer wasn't just about a job. He asked her to lead a new community program his company was funding, one that would train and hire single mothers who had been overlooked, ignored, or pushed aside because of their skin. For the first time in years, Maya wasn't surviving, she was leading. But the memory of that rainy day lingered. The stares, the whispered remarks, the insignificance in a world that selected on its own who was entitled to respect and who was not. She realized how quickly people judge her acts of kindness as weakness, and how easily those people stripped dignity from the ones who had so little to spare. Her story went well beyond that small cafe. People started to question their silences, their gazes, their easy acceptance of the way things are. For deep down, everyone knew Maya's story wasn't unique. It was only finally being seen. Sometimes change doesn't start with anger. It starts with an act of silent compassion, which, even when punished for it, will not die. Maya had lost everything for doing the right thing, but in the end, that exposed the truth. Racism isn't just in words or laws. It's in the moments we choose to look away. So next time you see someone standing in the rain, ignored and invisible, what will you do? Will you turn away like the rest? Or will you be the one who dares to care, no matter the cost?